This audio will be about RRT tapping. RRT stands for Rapid Relief Technique. Now, RRT tapping, yes, it's a bit of a mouthful, but it is similar to EFT tapping. If you have heard of EFT tapping, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. So RRT is similar to EFT in the tapping of the meridians. It's just slightly different in the things that you say as you are sort of tapping some of the points. So with EFT, they focus on sort of flipping around negatives into positives and saying positive statements and things like, even though I am feeling blah blah blah. With RRT, it's a bit different. So what it is we're going to use the tapping technique of tapping all the meridians. We do a little bit less than EFT, but with RRT, instead of saying and flipping the script as we're tapping, we're actually going to say the things that we really want to say. So I'll give you an example of if you're having a bad day, you come home from work and the kids are being, horrible, your partner's being a pain in the butt, and you just sort of over it all and you just want to scream. Instead of getting into that normal reaction where you would just come out and start yelling at everyone and start screaming and yelling at the kids and yelling at your partner, then in turn they would be yelling at each other, and it sort of turns into a full-blown mess. What you can do is you can excuse yourself, you can turn around and go back in the car, you can go to the toilet, the bathroom, the shower, wherever you can where you can try and get a little bit of privacy. And what you do is you start tapping. There's a PDF with all the tapping points, and I'll do a actual video on how to do the tapping. But what you do, you start saying all those things you are feeling in that moment. So for instance, with that scenario, you would start tapping saying, oh my God, I hate this family. These kids are lazy, assholes. And yes, I'm going to swear a little bit here. So if you are offended, I apologize. But when you're in that moment, you can be saying those things. I hate these kids. This partner sucks. What am I doing here? Why do I have to keep putting up with this shit? This is crap. I have to work all day and I come home to this mess. And what happens is you start saying all those things that you're actually feeling in that moment, because you know what it's like. You know when you are in that state and everything sort of feels really heightened and difficult and your emotions are high. You know you were going to react in probably not the best way possible because of the way that you are feeling. So using this technique will hopefully alleviate some of that charge in the emotion and sort of bring you back down to something that's a little bit more manageable. So when you start tapping, when you're in one of those moments, you will start normally talking about whatever the situation is in that moment that is triggering you. So you may start off talking about your children and how they can't clean up after themselves, how nobody helps you around the house, that you're the one who has to do all the jobs. And you will notice sometimes that you'll start to go into other things as well. Why do I always have to do things myself? Why does no one help me? My whole life I've always had to do everything for myself. My parents never helped me. I'm always alone. And you'll start to sort of dive a little deeper into other things that are actually more of the source of what that emotion is, because normally at the point of your trigger, it's not that actual point that is the thing that is annoying you. It's something further deep down and further back in your memories or your experiences that you haven't had a chance to release or let go of. So it keeps festering in possibly these small type similar situations because your brain is remembering how you're feeling back in that moment that you're on to. So every time the situations are slightly similar to the memory that so you will notice that sometimes the tapping start your parents may have worked all the time and you didn't get enough attention. So it will always boil down to something else. With the tapping, you will normally start to feel some sort of different release things in your body. These can be yawning, burping, any sort of escapes of wind and things like that. With some of those deep emotions, you can sometimes start to feel nauseous. You will also have that sort of dry reaching effect where you feel like you do need to go vomit. And don't worry, those things are really good. That actually means that you are releasing some of those things in your body, because we are energetic beings and we are working on trying to remove those energy things that are stuck in our meridians. That's why our body will react in different ways. So when we are releasing them, you will start to feel some of those weird symptoms. Don't think there's something wrong with you if you're not, or if you're doing them a lot. Just remember that it's all sort of normal, and it's whatever your body's going to do, and every time can be different. So sometimes you might yawn a lot, other times you won't. And normally what happens when you start tapping and you go through those points and you're saying those things, you will get to a point where you will feel that emotion release, and you will suddenly realize, oh, it's not triggering me anymore. Okay. And that's going to show you that you have been able to release that emotion. You may not notice that sometimes when you do it straight away. It did take me a little while to notice that point of when it had let go, but I did find that doing the tapping and having some of those release emotions as you were tapping through does sort of make that situation a lot easier, even if I didn't feel that immediate release. There can also be a lot of tears, so don't worry about that. Tears are good. It's good to let those emotions out and let those tears flow. That really means you're on the right track. There's some tapping scripts you can use also. With this RRT, you don't always have to wait for a triggering moment. You can try and pull up some of those memories or triggers that are hurting you, like with that timeline exercise, some of those other exercises I've given you there. You can sort of go back to some of those memories and those situations and relive them and start tapping through them. You can also listen to some scripts. I'll put some here in this program, some basic scripts which can help you try to remember or trigger some of those memories or the emotions that you're holding on to. And when you start, you will notice that they will sort of take you down various different roads. So sometimes using the tappings can help you lead you to many sort of different areas, but there'll be things that you need to bring up for yourself. So they're going to be different for everyone. You can also use the tapping in the car. It's a good time because you're all alone. So if you find yourself sitting at the lights and you're thinking about that person who cut you off 5 minutes ago, you can start tapping. If you're not worried about what people think when they're looking in your window and things like that, I know I'm not, so it doesn't really worry me. But at first you might think it's a little bit weird. But trust me, it'll sort of help you to alleviate some of those triggers as you go along. And as you start doing the tapping, it will become a lot easier and something that you do more often as you go through your days. So even if there's small things that trigger you, like who ate the last of the leftovers or something, and you knew you had been looking forward to them all day and suddenly they're gone because someone's eaten them, and it's not the end of the world. And you know, it's not the worst thing that can happen, but sometimes in those moments it can feel very triggering, and obviously that's not always going to be the actual reason of why you are upset. There will be something deeper than that. But if you can use things like that where you do start getting annoyed, start tapping and see what comes up for you. If you start tapping on everything and start getting a lot of those things released from your body, you will start to see how things become a little bit easier, and how some of the things that used to trigger you a lot may not trigger you anymore. You can also trigger on the smaller things, and then you won't get as many of those sort of big things or those big triggering moments happening to you as well. So it's a really good tool to have under your belt. I use it in conjunction with some other tools that I use. I went all in with the tapping for quite a while, so I did a lot of emotional release, and I found that having that action of me physically using my hand and physically feeling nauseous and things like that really helped me to remove a lot of those deeper woundings that really needed to get out, whereas some of the other techniques I found were a little bit lighter, and to me the tapping was really good because I felt like I was actually moving those emotions from my body. But I want you all to try it. At least you will feel a little bit silly at first if you've never done it before, but I really think it is a great tool that everyone should use, and it's only because it's not something that you see happening all the time that you're going to think that it's weird or stupid or looks silly, is because you haven't really seen it around that much. If you have done tapping before, this is good. Try this technique out and see how you go, because it doesn't matter how many times you hear about how it works or try it how it should go. It's just that solidification of listening to other people talk about it and teach it in their own ways that's really going to help you sort of grasp onto it in as many different ways as you can. So good luck with the tapping. There will be some tapping scripts in here. If you do have any questions, as usual, please ask me. Hi everyone, this is a little video so I can just show you how the tapping actually works. In the module before the audio, I would have spoken a little bit about what RRT tapping is, how it can help you remove some of those emotions from your body by using the meridians where our energy is sometimes held. But this video is just going to be the demonstration on how we tap, just so I can actually show you what it looks like on a video, so you're not just looking at a piece of paper. So the main points that we use in the RRT is we start at the eyebrow point here. So you can use whatever feels comfortable for you. I find that I don't even know, I have to check. 3 fingers. 3 fingers for me is what feels comfortable for me. So I will use 3 fingers on the corner of my eyebrow, the side of the eye, then we go down to under the eye, under the nose or on top of the lip, on top of the chin, the collarbone here, and then under the arm. So I like to do it sort of for women, it will be where, I guess, where your bra line would probably sit under there. I just go where my arm can actually reach when I bend. You can do the option of doing the opposite side. I know some people that do like to sort of go under there on the opposite side as well, so you can do whatever feels comfortable for you. With some of the traditional EFT tappings and things like that, they do this one. We don't normally use it in RRT, but of course, if you feel like using it, knock yourself out. You're also welcome to use an opposite side of the hand. I use my right hand on my right hand side. You can use whatever feels comfortable for you. For me, it is the right hand side. I feel like that's where I need to release from. But you can play with it, you can try different things. I have seen people who go through some of these points, and then when they get down to the chest, they may use 2 hands. So do whatever feels comfortable for you, have a little play with it, and whatever is the right thing for you will happen eventually with the practice that you're doing, and you will find things that are a little bit more comfortable for you and what feels right for you. So good luck with the tapping. If you've got any questions, just let me know.